Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. My name is Ari, and today we're going to have some more stories about our toxic life. But before we start, it would be so much appreciated if you would subscribe to my channel, like the video, if you enjoy it, and maybe leave a comment down below. These simple clicks would mean a lot to the future of this channel and really reward the effort that I put in every day. And now without further ado, let's go. In this story, in this 6-year marriage, the 33-year-old husband supports his 27-year-old wife's job search while she sells crafts on Etsy. Their seemingly stable relationship shatters when she's arrested for setting her ex-lover's car on fire, revealing an affair during her husband's work hours. Shocked and hurt, the husband ends their marriage. After her release, she pleads for reconciliation but is rejected. Her grandmother's passing forces her to move in with her aunt. The husband copes through daily exercise and self-care, finding solace in routine as he rebuilds his life, offering a cautionary tale on infidelity's consequences and the importance of self-care. Now let's get into the story. My wife 27 and I 33 were married for 6 years at this point, and she had been looking for a job for a year. She earned a small amount of money by making crafts and selling them on Etsy. I didn't want her to feel rushed or forced to get a job she hated. She'd already been through a really crappy childhood, so I only ever wanted to motivate her and make her feel safe. Our relationship seemed wonderful to me. She would get depressed sometimes, and I knew it was because of painful memories of the past. I asked her what was on her mind at least once a day, but much of the time she didn't say anything. When she did, it wasn't anything I could help with or didn't already know. So on this particular day at work, I got a phone call from the police department of the next county over. I was confused but listened as he explained that he had no choice but to arrest my wife today. Understandably, I freaked out. I asked him what the hell happened and what was going on. He said they received several calls about a woman setting a car on fire in one of the residential neighborhoods. My first thought was that there was no way it was my wife, but he verified her name and phone number and said they had possession of her car. I was absolutely mind-affed. I asked if she gave any statement, the reason for being there or an explanation, and he said so far she was unwilling to talk to them. I asked if she was allowed to call me, and instead, he asked me to come in person to talk to her. I agreed. When I got there, they had me sit in the interview room with her. Her expression went from hardened and angry to soft and defeated. She covered her face with her hands. I asked her what the heck happened. I needed to know because I could not figure this out. She whispered that she couldn't tell me. I asked why. She said it was because we were being recorded and I wouldn't want to know. I said she was wrong. I wanted to know. And she was apparently caught red-handed, so the only thing left to do was explain herself. She sat up, revealing her reddened and depressed face. She said she was setting fire to her ex's car because he cheated on her. After I let this sink in a bit, I asked her how long ago this happened and why seek revenge now. She really didn't want to answer me anymore, but I was her husband. She was in a police station. Her options were limited. After breathing a lot and crying, she told me he cheated on her last night. I said what? And she went on to explain that she'd been seeing him for a few months while I was at work. I could not believe what I was hearing. The cops were going to have a ball watching this drama unfold. So I clarified that she was seeing AP behind my back. And when she found out he cheated on her last night, she decided to set his car on fire in broad daylight. After hearing my words, she looked like a shell of a woman. I told her I was ashamed to be her husband. She exposed her own affair by losing any self-control or responsibility she had left. I told her we were over and left the police station. I got a few sorry looks from some of the officers. My wife freaked out. She could only call people with permission from the cops. So the next person she called was her grandmother who raised her. Her grandmother actually thought it was a scam call and didn't look into it any further for another 3 weeks. Then she was finally contacted and paid my wife's bail. In order to afford it, she had to take out a loan. This was just the start of my wife's consequences. After she was out of jail, she tried to call me over and over again. After receiving 15 calls in one day, I finally answered it. She begged me to hear her out and at least meet her for coffee. She said it was the least I could do after the ordeal she'd been through, and our 6-year relationship deserved one more chance of survival. I laughed a good, hearty laugh. I told her our 6-year relationship was over. Dead? In the past, I only kept that relationship with her in good faith that she would never go behind my back and sleep with another man. Not only did she do that, but she also jumped at criminal activity by setting his car on fire. She wailed and sobbed into the phone like it was her lifeline. I told her she made the decision to go behind my back and anyone should know it's only a matter of time before the truth comes out. I just got lucky because her idiotic actions did the work for me. I wished her luck in whatever she tries to do next with her life. As I said that, she started screaming for me not to hang up. But I did. Her aunt contacted me 4 months later. She asked if she could bring a truck over to get my ex's belongings. I said that was fine, and she went on to explain that my ex's grandmother passed away and the house was in foreclosure. So my ex was moving in with her and I'd finally get her crappy belongings out of my house. That sounded fine to me. I did wonder how she was holding up, but I didn't ask. By this point started seeing another woman and did not want to give any false hope by asking questions. I hope my story encourages everyone not to cheat on their partner. There are 2 things that helped me get through this ordeal the most. The first was exercising daily. I didn't want to do it, but I forced myself to use my muscles until I could feel the burn. It helped me to get out, built up anger, and turn my attitude around for the better. I wasn't feeling down on myself. I was feeling positive and capable. The second thing I did was show myself love and care by doing what I wanted. Most of the time it was listening to music and dancing. Other times it was reading, watching TV, drawing, playing music or going for a walk. Here are my thoughts on the situation. I'm truly sorry to hear about the difficult situation you're going through with your spouse. It must have been a shocking and painful experience to discover her actions, including the arrest for setting a car on fire. It's a reminder that sometimes, we can't predict or control our partner's behavior, no matter how well we think we know them. It's important not to blame yourself in such situations. You can't control another person's thoughts or actions. More importantly, their actions and disregard for you don't determine your self-worth. It simply indicates that they were struggling with unresolved pain and emotions that led to poor decisions. As humans, we're a mix of various emotions and faculties, and when we let something ultimately unimportant influence our behavior towards others, it can have far-reaching consequences. I wish you the best of luck. This story revolves around a 7-year marriage plagued by deceit and infidelity. Initially, suspicions arose when the wife's behavior changed significantly, leading the husband, a private investigator, to investigate further. His discoveries revealed a 6-month-long affair between his wife and a coworker, marked by lies, secret communications, and intimate conversations. After persistent questioning, the wife finally admitted to the affair, and the marriage ended in divorce. The story underscores the devastating impact of infidelity on relationships and highlights the importance of seeking professional help and maintaining healthy habits during difficult times. Despite the pain, the husband found strength in moving on, emphasizing the importance of self-care and a supportive community. This story serves as a cautionary tale and offers hope for those facing similar challenges. Now let's get into the story. I have been married 7 years to my wife. We have no kids. 2 years ago though, she started a new career and has been very successful. At the time she started, she mentioned a man that she works with but said on more than one occasion that he was a jerk and she didn't like to work with him. Since then, she has softened a bit and really doesn't mention him much. I felt like I had no major reason for concern. I've always trusted my wife, and although our marriage is not perfect, I felt like we got along pretty well. Fast forward to about a month ago. I started noticing some changes in behavior. She was texting a lot more and never letting her phone leave her side. She seemed to have more things going on at night and on the weekends. She became cold towards me and wouldn't reciprocate any affection. She also lied to me several times about strange things. The last lie was when she was packing for a business trip, and I noticed she had purchased a new, much more revealing bathing suit than anything I'd ever seen her wear. I asked her about it and she said she ordered it online. Not true. And once she tried it on, decided it wasn't appropriate for a business trip to Florida with her colleagues. She then left for the trip and took the bathing suit with her. While she was gone, I decided to do a little digging. I had never in our entire relationship ever gone through my wife's things, but I had had enough of all the lies. In one of her work bags I found a drawing someone had done of her, almost like a caricature. but it was done on paper from a hotel. I also found a post-it note with driving directions to her male coworker's house written in her handwriting. I went through our bank statements and found that many times when she was supposedly at work, she was out to different restaurants around the city. This was enough for me to investigate further. I'm a private investigator by trade, and ethically I have no problem invading someone's privacy when confronted with reasonable suspicion of wrongdoing. I placed a GPS tracker in her car, legal in my state, since the title is in my name. The Sunday after she got back from her trip, she told me she was going to work at a coffee shop and run some errands. Her car never came within 1 mile of a Chipotle, but when she got home, she walked in holding a Chipotle cup and confirmed she had eaten there. Then on the following Tuesday, she told me she had to go to a company dinner and would be working late until dinner. The GPS showed her leaving work at 3:20 in the afternoon and driving to the restaurant where her car remained until 9 o'clock that night. The final straw came on the next Saturday. We were supposed to watch my niece play tennis at 8 in the morning. She said she wanted to drive separately so she could leave the venue and go to work at a coffee shop. After the match, she told me she was heading to X coffee shop and added a few details about why she wanted to go to that coffee shop. I said, "Have a good day," and went to my vehicle. Well, on the GPS, I watched as she drove directly to a Comfort Inn motel. I got to the Comfort Inn and waited in an adjacent parking lot until I could confirm that she was actually in the building and not sitting in her car. I called her from the lobby and asked, "How is X coffee shop?" She said it was good. Why? The only other thing I said was, "Come down here so we can get this over with." Once she came down, she said these exact words, "It's not what you think. He has to do this because he's been caught with other girls before." I asked what she was talking about and she said that he always works in hotel rooms. She said that they didn't do anything physical, and that's when I told her to get out of my car. I drove away and she called 50 times. I finally answered and I told her if she tells me even one more lie, I'm hanging up. She said that they did kiss once, about 5 months prior, but that it was a mistake and didn't mean anything. She said again that they were just working. I asked how many times had she met him in hotels, and she said about 10 over the last 9 months. I then asked what she did on that Tuesday and she became defensive. She said she was at work all day until her work dinner. I called her a liar and hung up the phone. She showed up at our house where I was loading up my car with my belongings and my dog. She stood in the driveway, refusing to move until I talked to her. She was in hysterics, crying and apologizing. I moved out that day and have been gone for a month. We have met a few times for her to try to explain things. However, when it becomes my turn to ask questions, she becomes very upset, gets defensive, and says things like answering these questions isn't good for the relationship. She's also lied about several of the details, even when the details seem completely inconsequential. I've called her on the lies and she accuses me of trapping her by asking questions I already know the answers to. Through all of this, she has remained constant that this was not a romantic relationship. She said that she became really good friends with this man and that he was helping her with her career. She admitted that their conversations would become inappropriate when they would talk about our marital issues. She admitted that their conversations would become inappropriate when they would talk about our marital issues. She's admitted to texting him and deleting the text, saying that they weren't romantic but could be seen as flirting. She said that she has been depressed for a really long time and he was good at talking her out of those feelings and encouraging her in her work. I know I'm being deceived here, but there's a part of me that believes her. It may be that I want to believe her because I love her or I'm afraid of the truth. I'm really hung up on finding out the truth, but the reality is I don't see any way that I can get over the fact that I do know. So why does it matter? Am I losing my mind? Update. We are a month out from Discovery Day. I spoke with her last night and here are the highlights. I asked if she has talked to the man over the last 4 weeks. She said that he doesn't know that I showed up at the hotel on Discovery Day and called her out. She also said she hasn't talked to him about the situation because this is an issue in our marriage and doesn't involve him. I asked if she has stopped all non-work related communication with him. She said that she is tapering down. Tapering down? I lost it. She said she feels like she has to taper down rather than no contact because he doesn't know that I busted her infuriating. She then lied about a completely insignificant detail. I called her on it and I was 100% confident that she was lying. She denied it to the point of yelling and never relented. I left it and chalked it up as one more unresolved issue in this saga. After she told me she was tapering off social communication with the other man, I hid a voice recorder in my house and left. Last night I reviewed the tape and discovered my wife and this other man had spent well over an hour on the phone with each other. Over the course of at least 2 phone calls. My recorder died in the afternoon. I would assume they talked again in the evening, if not more. I didn't hear too many specifics from the phone call, but I did hear a few alarming things. They talked for a while about the current state of affairs in our marriage, something she claimed he knew nothing about. They talked about how to use the secret phone app on their phones so they could not be detected. She called me a jerk for showing up late for breakfast that morning, and they talked and laughed about a million other topics. I haven't heard my wife that giddy since we were dating. I confronted her about all of this, and she admitted to some of it but denied other parts of it. I don't really care anymore. Here's another update. For the past 2 weeks, I have gone no contact with my wife. A few days ago, she texted me and asked if we could talk. I told her unless she was willing to confess to everything, that I was not willing to talk. She then said she knows I've wiretapped her phone and that I already know everything. I told her I needed to hear it from her directly. She finally agreed to sit down and tell me everything. She came to my house and confessed that her relationship with the other man was indeed sexual and that it had been going on for the past 6 months. She admitted that she purchased a hotel room one day before our anniversary to be with him. She also confirmed that she had continued talking to him after being caught, and he was helping her deal with my questions. She claims that she has now broken it off with the other man for good and wants to work on our marriage. This confession came 6 agonizing weeks after I caught her in the hotel. I believe the only reason she confessed is due to my persistence. However, she said that she was always planning to tell me, but wanted to make sure it wouldn't hurt either one of 2 badly. The damage done during those 6 weeks is unsurmountable. And one final update. First, let me say this. If you're in this situation and you're even remotely having thoughts of taking your life, don't do it. I say don't do it, because if you do, you're going to miss out on the greatest time of your life. I mean that 100% sincerely. I know it's impossible to see when you're first going down this road, but trust me, don't miss out on this life. Now the update: we got divorced. I took my time in making that decision. I wish I wouldn't have taken that time, but who cares? She wanted to stay together. For what reason, I have no clue. She lied and gaslighted me for an eternity, and that torpedoed any reconciliation possibility for me. It's the hardest thing I've ever gone through. During my marriage, I was all in. I wasn't perfect, but I loved my wife with all my heart and wanted to be with her forever. I would have done anything to make her happy, and I think I did on several occasions. Now that I'm away from that relationship, I can see it for what it was: a narcissist crushing every ounce of energy out of a good person. That marriage was completely one-sided, with one person giving everything and the other person taking even more than could be given. By the end of the marriage, I truly thought I was worthless as a partner. She degraded my profession, my personality, and my looks. Since getting divorced, my business has flourished, and I've been able to date women that I would have thought were way out of my league. I seriously thought I was ugly, in part because of the way my ex-wife made me feel. But now I'm having gorgeous women much younger than me approach me in bars. I've been in a couple of wonderful relationships with great women. They ended amicably for general compatibility issues, but it illuminated how terrible of a partner my ex-wife really was. I don't have any contact with the ex anymore, really. Don't even think about her. Very often, this divorce became contentious because she thought I was getting too much of the money, even though I was taking less than 50%. Because I wanted it to go smoothly without breaking up businesses and retirements. Can you imagine that? Cheating on someone and then getting upset about the amount of money they're taking, even though it's less than 50%? That hammered home for me that I was making the right decision and I needed to get away from this garbage as fast as possible. I lost friends in the divorce. Good riddance. Most took my side, but I don't care about those that didn't. They made it easy for me to jettison them. I lost my in-law family. This is one of the hardest parts. I really loved some of them, but I get it. I sent enough correspondence to the affair partner's wife that I'm 100% confident she knows. She never contacted me back, and I'll respect her decision. Some advice: if you're fresh in this nightmare, separate yourself from the situation. This is the only way you're going to be able to think clearly without being gaslit. Get professional help. I was in therapy for a long time. It helps. I'm so much stronger now because of it. Surround yourself with friends and family as much as possible. Make healthy choices. Go to the gym. Limit drugs and alcohol. Get outside and try to sleep. Take people's advice, but make your own decisions. It's your life. There were some really dark days after Discovery Day, but after the initial heartache, it has been the best time of my life. I'm truly happy every day. If you're going through this and need some advice from a self-proclaimed expert, hit me up. I'm happy to help. A huge thanks to everyone here who helped me when I was struggling. Here are my thoughts on the situation. It's great to hear that you're glad about my progress, and I appreciate your kind words of support. In one of my previous updates, I did mention considering staying in a challenging situation, but I'm glad to say that I've come to my senses and realized the importance of removing negativity from my life promptly. This story serves as a perfect illustration of how life can improve after going through difficult times. While it may take some time, once positive changes start happening, it becomes easier to move forward. Regarding my previous mention of my wife, it's true that she rarely crosses my mind now, indicating that I have indeed moved on. As for the friends I lost along the way, you're absolutely right that true friends stand by you during tough times. Those who didn't support me were never true friends to begin with. Thank you for your well wishes, and I too wish you the best. May your life continue to flourish with excellence.